Craig Slate.
And I'm Ed Bertaud.
And you're listening to
The Fresh CrEd. And we're back.
And we are. And we're not surprised.
And we're not surprised. All right, so if y'all have been listening, as promised, we have our first guest of the day. But we would be remiss to not thank our sponsors to start the day. I know we did once already, but I think it's important, right?
Got to pay the bills, baby.
Got to pay the bills. Yeah. So we've got some great partners, and we want to thank them real quick, and that is Laws Logistics, Thanks LLC, Real Time Intelligence, Full Tilt Marketing, SunFed.
Yay.
IFCO.
Yay.
Chakra Vision.
Yay, Chakra.
And, of course, the great and generous folks at International Fresh Produce Association for having us, for setting up this great venue for us. So thank you very much to them. I think we mentioned earlier that Kathy Burns will be with us wrapping up the day. Give us a lot of the statistics of attendees, where we'll be next year, which I don't know where we will be next year.
All right, yeah, we probably should find that out.
Yeah,
so.
I mean,
you probably think... Of course, I was talking earlier. I thought we were in Orlando this year, so it's like, well, I'm preparing for next year. Maybe it's Orlando. I'm just ahead of the curve.
You are a wee bit psychic. So, all right, so as promised, our first guest is from IFCO, one of our sponsors, and a good friend. And
is IFCO a country? He's from IFCO?
Almost. The company.
Okay.
Right, that he works for.
He works for IFCO. He's not actually
is
from there. He's not,
Iñigo Canalejo, Vice President of ESG and Strategic Marketing from IFCO, joining us from Madrid.
There we go. Yeah, that's it. He's from Spain.
Spain, that's the country. Good morning. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, super excited to have you here. You know, Ed he's told me some about you. Enough to whet my beak, as they say, in terms of interest. There's a million things I could probably have a conversation about, but Ed, I guess spent some time with you guys last week over there in beautiful Europe. Was that last week? You were in Europe?
It's kind of all a fog still, but I think it was. Yeah, I think I got back late last week. Yes.
This guy lives. So he's jetting off to Europe one week. He's jetting to the West Coast.
Anaheim.
He's red-eyed back to Texas today so he can, pack up his bags and go glamp it up in Colorado and elk hunt, as they say. I don't think he actually ever elk hunts, but he takes pictures of other people elk hunting.
It's about as DIY as you can think, so come on up whenever you're ready.
No, all seriousness. Glad to have you here for sure. Ed, you want to talk a little bit about what you guys did last week and give us a little background?
Well, I think for folks that don't know what ESG is, perhaps maybe we can talk a little bit about your role at IFCO and what your focus is. I think it's super interesting. And Craig, do you know what ESG is?
I do know. Well, let me give you a check. Let's see what you got. Let's see what you got.
Sure. Let me explain. So. ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance, which is sort of like a step forward in sustainability. So it's a much broader term that defines how companies are addressing, let's say, issues around sustainability. Sustainability was usually more focused on the environmental piece, but we know that companies need to look beyond, let's say, the economic and the environmental piece, but also look at the social and the governance issues are associated to companies. So when the whole move started many years ago, it was more around social purpose, let's say, and about helping the community, maybe with charity work and things like that. That evolved to sustainability, and then beyond sustainability, now it's ESG. So it's a broader term that talks about the responsibility that companies have with their activities beyond economic, let's say, profit or economic growth. Talking about the people, the community, the environment, and of course the planet.
Right. Well, and for you guys, that's your core, right? I mean, with IFCO, you're at the very center of sustainability, right? I mean, you, as a company, that's, like I say, that's at your core, and now this is just taking that to the next level, I guess.
Correct. Yeah, I often say I'm really lucky because I wake up in the morning and I work for a sustainable company.
Right.
And that's my role. Right. So most companies are not that lucky, most people, because they need to make a transition into a sustainable business. As you rightly said, our Our company is built on the principles of sustainability, the principles of the circular economy, sharing and reusing assets, sharing and reusing materials, extending the life cycle of products. That's all what we do, right? So it's a really easy start, let's say. However, we're not just standing there. We know that we need to go beyond that. We need to do a lot more to become even more sustainable. And that's why the whole ESG topic is so interesting, because it's not just the environmental part, which is intrinsic to our business model, is everything else around what we do as a business.
I think he's saying his job's easy.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Sounds like a piece of cake.
So ESG has been a buzz acronym for a while now in the U.S. Can you give us a sense for how long it's been a buzz acronym in Europe? Or a concept, let's say. I say acronym because it's...
I would say sustainability in general has been probably stronger in Europe than it has been here. ESG may be similar because there's also a very strong component to ESG around risk and let's say investments, right? So it's become a buzzword because a lot of investment companies and publicly traded companies are looking to avoid risks associated to ESG. And then it's been more on the spotlight because of that, let's say. So sustainability has been around, obviously, for many years, and there's been companies that have been working around sustainability, the broader sense of sustainability, for years. Now the whole topic of ESG has captured a lot of attention because of these, risk-related topics and because of the investment community as well. So I've been working in sustainability for 10 years, and I remember my first conversations with customers as a supplier, speaking about what we were doing and the initiatives and how we could collaborate. A lot of their responses were, okay, yeah, that's great, but I really want to talk about quality, or I really want to talk about price, things like that. No,
Yeah.
That's changed drastically now. It's actually
Agreed.
customers that come to us and say, well, what are you doing around sustainability? Or if we launch a new product, for example, how is it more sustainable than what you had before, or the alternative in the market? So to me, that's fantastic, right? Because it's not so much about convincing what we are doing, is actually a demand to the stuff that we're doing. And even from a personal point of view, I've been asked, many times when I spoke to friends or people around me about my job. So you work in sustainability. What is that? And this is maybe 3 years ago. It's not that long ago, right? People had no clue what sustainability is about. And a lot of them were actually afraid to ask, to be honest. It's like, well, whatever, that sounds like wishy-washy.
And now there seems to be more interest on the metrics, how the activities are measured, how they're posted up against, individual companies' goals. I personally see that more as well. So that's very encouraging to see. As Craig, you mentioned, I did have the fortune of visiting Spain. I flew through a couple of other countries, but I was in Spain for almost a week, and it's clearly visible. I mean, as much as it is ingrained, recycling, reusability, I would say ingrained. Might be a stretch. In America, you can tell it's definitely more part of the daily life in Europe.
Yeah.
Trends, particularly in, I think, fresh foods and retail grocery. I mean, the RPC was born in Europe.
In Europe, yeah.
As you know, from your IFCO days.
No,
So-
it's for whatever reason, yeah. The European, certainly from a fruits and vegetable consumption, it's much higher there than here. And yeah, when you get into sustainability and things like that, certainly, they seem to be forerunners in that those spaces, right? And I don't know. There's probably some different reasons why that would be the case, but I don't know. I would be completely making it up if I try to tell you what I thought it would be. So we'll just go from there. I do have a question though. So born and raised in Madrid?
No, actually born in Pamplona.
Pamplona.
I lived in Pamplona until I was 8, and then I moved to Madrid, and then I've lived abroad as well. Yeah.
He was a bull runner, right? Is that where the bulls run?
That's right.
Okay.
Pamplona is where the bulls run, and I have run with the bulls.
Have you?
But I wouldn't recommend it.
So I was going to ask. That's kind
Not
of.
for you. I
Come
think there's
on.
an age limit.
There's no age
There
limit,
isn't-
mister.
No, not officially.
No age limit.
Okay. Well, we're going next year.
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
down. We do that. And you get to throw tomatoes at each other too, right? Isn't that the?
I heard that so many times. Yeah. It's the whole thing together, right? Tomatoes, bulls,
Really?
bullfights. No, it's not. It's just it's a
No,
joke.
it's not.
It's a completely different town. Like 500 miles away.
Okay. Awesome.
So born and raised there. Did you grow up wanting to be a ESG leader?
That's a good question. No, probably not, to be honest. I mean, I'm an engineer. I studied engineering, and I did grow up. My dad was an engineer, so I did grow up making things and building things. I always liked that. I always liked, let's say, the mechanics of things. So I studied mechanical engineering in Michigan, and I worked in the automotive industry before going into reusable packaging, where I've been for 17 years, or actually a bit more now, 19 years.
Really?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
But even in the automotive industry, when I was working there, one of my last roles was around product optimization, which is about reducing the weight of a car, and that has obviously a very strong cost component, but also a very strong environmental component. So
Right.
this was obviously many years ago, but companies still do it now. Have engineers dedicated to making things lighter, so that they are more sustainable and cheaper as well.
So that begs a question. So you kind of led off in this, and this is a personal, for me, I'm curious what you think about being in the ESG space and having an auto background. This big movement to electrified battery operated, right? So I get the lower emissions, certainly have that. But obviously there's a tremendous amount of natural resources that have to be mined and then made to where they can be usable into batteries or whatever. But then even beyond that, I mean, does anybody have a plan for these batteries when they're no longer usable? I mean, what are we doing with all this stuff? So I'm just curious. What are your thoughts? And are we running too fast at something that maybe if we're really trying to do something to be sustainable, are we really thinking it all the way through, or we just like everybody's bought into this, let's just go, even if it's truly that. That's my question.
Yeah, is it creating a bigger problem, right, than what it's trying to solve?
Yeah.
Look, I think it's a transition, to be honest. There are plans. I mean, there are already initiatives that take old batteries and recycle them and reuse them to other purposes, like, for example, using them at home, where they don't need to be as efficient as how they need to be in a car or having as many cycles. So I think there are, let's say, some solutions to the problem. It's definitely not the ultimate solution, electric vehicles and batteries, but it's a transition, and I think that's what's important. We need to do things in order to reduce our dependency on fossil fuels, and this is one way of doing things. It's not the final solution. I think it improves with emissions, and I think emissions are obviously an extreme urgency right now, CO2 emissions. But it's also thinking ahead and planning around what to do with the waste, how to manage that. And with a lot of ESG topics, we don't have all the answers. That's the reality. Yeah. Even for us as a company with our objectives, when we set our objectives, long-term objectives or sustainability, we don't have a clear list and a clear path on everything that we need to do, because we know that the solutions are not there yet, but they will come, right? And if you have the ambition, you set the goals, you set those ambitious targets, then you're going to work collectively to make things happen and change things so that you are able to achieve them in the future, even if now we are not sure how we will achieve them.
Yeah, the needs have to be identified, right, before you can create the solution. So, do you have a battery-powered car, Craig? Is that what you were asking?
I do. I mean, yes, I do.
Do you really?
Well, yeah, it's a hybrid. It's a Ford Fusion hybrid, so it's, in fact, it's old technology. So it's a 2018, so pretty much my entire car, there's virtually no trunk. It's a battery, right? It's back. I'm sure they're much better today, but yeah, I do. So I got one that's like I say, it's partially, and it's great fuel economy, easy to plug in. I mean, I like the concept, but you got to start to think, what do you do? Heck, I don't know what to do with my batteries now that are AA, AAA, for crying out loud.
It's an easy one.
Yeah,
recycle them.
Just recycle them.
Yeah.
Well,
but hopefully you can take them somewhere. Again,
I was going to say where. I don't know.
See, that's probably a difference between Europe and here. I mean, everybody in Europe would know where to take a battery to recycle.
See, in Europe, they don't just have the blue bin. They have blue, yellow, green, red. They have four different categories for the recycling bin.
So I was in Iceland a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, that's right.
And so they had the same program. They got it all squared away. So it's similar to what you're talking about there, is exactly that. Now, I tell this, what I'm about to say about the best, one of the most turnkey sustainable solutions is a company called Nespresso. right? What are you going to laugh for? Nespresso, they do the coffee pods, right?
Yeah, I know Nespresso.
So
Yeah, we're familiar.
These guys, they get a UPS bag, right? So all of my Nespresso pods. So me as a consumer, I don't have to worry about a bin. My problem is sometimes with a bin is I think that the guy that's picking up my trash is just throwing it in the regular trash anyway. So I'm not completely convinced anything that I'm doing is doing anything. But with the Nespresso pods, they give you the little UPS envelope, fill that dude up, seal it, drop it in. No postage required, nothing. Now, and I can only assume that they're actually doing with what they're supposed to, but that is a true circular solution where they've done everything they possibly can to make it as painless and cost me the least amount of money on my side.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of stuff. I've even tried to think about that within our company and trays and stuff like that. But similar to what you guys, in the RPC world, it's all about trying to make it to where people don't have to spend extra money, people don't have to spend extra time, because if you don't make it easy
For the end user.
people aren't going to participate.
Yeah.
No, certainly.
I laughed because we talked about one of my favorite things about being over there was there's Nespresso everywhere. I almost brought the machine home with me from my hotel. And
Yeah.
all different sized Nespresso machines. So I've been shopping. I just haven't pulled the trigger yet. But big fan.
Yeah, I've had a couple, and I highly recommend. And yeah, they're great coffee makers. You have an espresso?
I do.
See, okay.
Yeah. There's one big difference between, let's say, the sustainability attributes to Nespresso and what we do ourselves, which is the difference between recycling and reuse. So recycling is great because you're not throwing things away, you're not throwing waste to landfill, but you're
Right.
still generating the waste in the first place. Reuse is about actually not generating the waste, managing that product throughout its life cycle so that you can use it many, many times, so that you don't need to recycle.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So nothing wrong with it, but it's just probably a step further.
Step further, they could go with that. Yeah.
Yeah, our buddy Tim Debus, I heard him speak a while back, and something he said has stuck with me, and it's recycling should be the last resort. If we could get to the point where recycling is the last resort, we've done something.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. Spain. I've been there once. 24 hours. I slept too. Madrid, in fact. And so, yeah, we went, dinner started, I think, at 9:30.
That's pretty
It was
early.
cocktails, actually.
Yeah.
It was not dinner.
Yeah.
That was just the cocktail part. We get back, and I'm in Spain. So I can't not go to Spain and not at least see what the nightlife's like, right?
You bet.
So I get out, and we go, and it's 12:30 or so. And the guy took us to the place to go. And it was like a Monday night or something, so didn't expect much. And I get there and go in, and there's nobody there. I mean, this place is empty. Walk in, and best I can communicate with the bartender. I was like, is it's a bad night? No, nobody here. And he's like, just wait. It's like, okay. Got a drink, hung out, and then listened to music. And next thing you know, I go back 45 minutes later. It's now pushing 1 o'clock. I was like, a few more people have shown up. And he's like, just wait. Man, by the time it hit about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, the floodgates were open. And this place was packed. Now, like I said, I had a bus ride that we were going to tour the city on that left, I think, at 7 or 7:30 the next morning. So when it struck about 4:30, 4:45, it became time to go home. And so I didn't get to see it. It was still packed. Yeah, we left. In fact, I was everything I could do not to just stay there and say, hey, I'm not going to make the tour. But
You made it.
I made the tour, but that's always my one story about Spain. Oh, but I'm going to Italy. Never mind. But anyway, that's great town, great space. We had a great dinner, fabulous food.
How was the wine?
Wine.
You drink wine,
what you make think I would drink any wine?
Oh, really?
Yeah, seriously. I mean, I'm not a wino.
No. An enophile.
Yeah. No, I do love some wine, and I understand that maybe you could have some recommendations on wine next time I'm in Spain. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah. There's a few good wineries in Spain.
Yeah.
My brother is a winemaker, actually, so we have a small family winery in the north of Spain, in Navarra.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So definitely you should taste it.
Is there a club? Can I join?
You can join. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually.
And
you can
get
join.
it shipped here to the States?
Yeah, it depends on the state actually. But you know what? I think you should go visit. It's
Well,
worth
yeah,
it.
no, yeah.
Taste it over there. It's gonna taste even better.
Is that right? No, so family. So your brother did you guys come up in the wine business or?
Yeah, it's a family tradition actually. So it was my great grandfather that started a winery in the same state that has belonged to the family for 140 years. But then that winery was sold in the 70s, and then when my dad retired, one of my brothers started winemaking already as a career. And when he retired in the year 2000, he decided to go back to the family business and start a brand new winery in the same place. So he had to tear down the fields that were with wheat, and then he replanted the grapes there and
Wow.
started everything from scratch.
That's awesome.
Yeah, really cool.
That's very cool for sure. Now, what type of grapes?
So it's Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot
Okay.
mainly, and then some Tempranillo, which is a very common Spanish grape,
For
and
sure.
Garnache as well. So it's a blend actually.
French oak?
Yes.
Man,
I thought you didn't drink wine.
I just admire it.
Okay.
I don't drink it. You know, I'm that guy with a bucket. I spit
Oh,
it
yeah.
out. Yeah, I don't actually drink it. So.
You're a true wine taster, I know.
No, I do. I've hobbyist in the wine. I've done a few wines. I've made a few wines myself.
Cool.
Mason's the only one that's ever liked them. Everybody else doesn't. So thank you, Mason, for that.
As far as you know.
Yeah, the last one I did, it didn't turn out. It was terrible. But the problem was, I think I'd waited too long. The yeast had gone bad, and so there was no. It did not fully take out the sugars and turn it into alcohol. So
It's not easy.
yeah, but it's blast. I'm very much into it. I do like it. I like the process. I like the science behind it as well. And yeah, the opportunity for you're telling me I can go to Spain and you can hook me up with a tour.
You bet. No,
See.
you would love it. Look, where my brother actually does the tours himself, and it's supposed to be like a 1 hour tour, and it takes him at the end like 3 hours. And people love it, of course, because he's so passionate about this. He will explain you everything about how wine is made.
Do you mind sharing the name?
And yes, it's called Pago de la Reinzar. Bit difficult to pronounce.
Yeah.
Well, Christmas, I'm getting you some, if I can.
Why don't we just go there for Christmas?
That's a little soon, but yeah, we can put something
It's
together.
a little soon. What do you
Yeah.
mean? I don't know.
Christmas.
Hey, we could do this show from
I
there.
was just gonna say, we have the perfect setup.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Right?
You know,
Mind blown.
Right at the winery with all of the vines, and the views.
Okay, Mason's looking at airlines right
Hey,
now.
Craig.
What Mason's?
Iberia. I'll save you some time. There's a very good chance that there will be either ham, cheese, bread, or wine there. Let's just put it that way. So if you needed any other convincing, that's what it's.
So some of that ham from a big old.
We had some that was pretty insane.
I may look at flights. That may be. What are you doing next week?
I'll be there waiting for you.
Oh my God! No, that sounds amazing. It sounds like a great deal. And so, auto industry, I kind of took us off on the batteries. And so, what? So you designed the. You said you were taking and make them more efficient,
Yep.
right? And making them. But
Cars.
yeah. What companies? Who were you with?
So I was working first for Opel, which is part of GM, General
Okay.
Motors,
Yeah.
and then for Audi, Volkswagen Group, and Seat.
Nice. So you're a Formula One guy?
Yeah,
Are you?
more when the Spaniards are racing. To be honest, no, it's good because we have to.
Well, you've got yeah. There's a couple on the.
Yeah, we have Alonso.
Alonso,
and
yeah.
Carlos Sainz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alonso's what
Yeah.
I was trying to think of. Yeah. So, but there's only one. Unfortunately, Formula One's become one driver right now. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
not-
Red Bull's gonna. I guess we might as well just concede everything else, and you turn it on, you're watching Red Bull. So
Yep.
Have you seen Gran Turismo?
Well, no, I haven't.
No. Have you seen it?
No.
Gran Turismo.
I don't think I have.
So it's a movie. It's out in theaters now. We went and saw it, and it was. I think it's based on a true story, but it seems pretty far fetched. Believable enough, if you go watch it. But basically, it was a contest of gamers that would play a game, a racing game, and I don't even remember what the car company was. It might have been Audi that did a promotion. They were trying to figure out, a way to bring more attention to not only the team but to the sport.
Yeah.
And they created a contest for gamers that were, excellent, obviously, at playing the game. And within them, they chose 10, and then they sent them to racing school. And of the best, they actually wound up racing real cars. It's a pretty cool movie.
Huh.
If you're into, the action and the...
Well, I mean, like everybody else, at least here in the States, that Netflix series, I barely even knew what Formula One was up until that, and it's like, oh wow, this is pretty cool. And then the whole show, but it's coming to Vegas this year.
Cool. That'll be exciting.
Yeah, I hope so.
You going?
I'm planning on it. Yeah,
You should. You've never seen a Formula One race?
I have not.
You would like it.
Yeah, gosh, we got we scratched the surface on some of this.
And flew right through.
Well, it flew right.
I mean, I do think it's worth pointing out. This show, it's a big show. It's an important show.
I thought you're talking about our show.
Oh no, I'm talking about the IFCO. Our show is important to us as well, but no, definitely. I mean, you think of people coming from, for example, all the way from Spain. I mean, you obviously see some value in being here, a lot of value, hopefully. You think you'll be back next year?
Definitely.
Okay.
We don't know where though, right?
Kathy's going to
Yeah,
inform us later.
on the East Coast this time. Yeah,
it might or might not be Orlando, but we don't want to misspeak. But I think it's pretty cool. I mean, it's it's a big deal.
It's great. I mean, I was in Orlando last year, and I'm impressed by the amount of people that are here this year as well, and the excitement and all of the, let's say, also, again, on my subject on sustainability, I'm part of the Sustainability Council of the IFPA, having a lot of people join, and there's more and more interest in the topic. Probably there needs to be even a bit more, to be honest, because the need is there. But that's really, let's say, exciting from my part, is that the topic is getting a lot more attention and focus, which is very necessary.
More and more cool becomes more and more cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, and great to have you here with us today. I mean, there's a lot of other things we need to cover, but I want to save some for that time when we're together at your vineyard and hanging out, sipping a glass of Cabernet. And no, seriously, there was a lot. I know you've got a great history, like I say, through the car companies and engineering and what you've done in your past, and then your family in the wine business. But we do want to, at some point, have you back probably and kind of delve into a few more things in that. But, can't say enough. Thank you very much. And you know what? And you should feel good. I mean, you're doing something, not just, your job is not just to, like it's not necessarily, it's not about making money, but you're actually trying to do and participating in helping change the world in a positive way. So that's great too. So
definitely. Very proud of what I do, and most importantly, what my company does. So it's not just me, it's everybody in the company doing that. So it's fantastic.
Yeah. So, a lot of great people. I've got a history with IFCO, and I still love the company and love the RPCs and like what you guys do. So for sure.
And thanks for being a customer.
Absolutely. And we are a loyal customer for sure. But thanks, guys.
Thanks, Iñigo.
Thank you.